Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON BBD founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Vishnupad Paramahams Vairaj Vichara Sotra Santi Svaingas Bhaktisiddhanta Sarvati Maharaj ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Se Goshi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Radha Kunda Shama Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Mridam Madam ki jai. Mayapur Navadhitam ki jai. Chaganapuri Dham ki jai. Philadelphia Dham ki jai. Chamuna Mai ki jai. Ganga Devi ki jai. Tulsi Marani ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Transcendental Bhakti Krishna ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the Assembly of Krishna. All glories to the Assembly of Krishna. All glories to the Assembly of Krishna. All glories to Guru and Prabhu. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we're reading from Bhagavad Gita. You see the verse up there on the board. It's 225. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam.
Avyaktoyam achintyoyam.
Avikaryoyam uchate.
Avikaryoyam uchyate.
Tasmat evam viditvainam.
Tasmad evam viditvayam.
Nanoschitum harhashi.
Nanusochitum harhashi.
Avyaktoyam achintyoyam.
Avyaktoyam achintyoyam.
Avikaryoyam uchate.
Avikaryoyam uchyate.
Tasmat evam viditvainam.
Tasmad evam viditvayam.
Nanoschitum arhashi.
Nanusochitum harhashi.
Avyaktoyam achintyoyam.
Avyaktoyam achintyoyam.
Avikaryoyam uchate.
Avikaryoyam uchyate.
Tasmat evam viditvainam.
Tasmad evam viditvainam.
Nanoschitum arhasi.
Nanusochitum harhashi.
Avyaktoyam achityoyam.
Avyaktoyam achintyoyam.
Avikaryoyam uchyate.
Avikaryoyam uchyate.
Tasmadevam viditvainam.
Tasmadevam viditvainam.
Nanusochitam arhasi.
Nanusochitam arhasi. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam.
Avyaktoyam achityoyam.
Avikaryoyam uchyate.
Avikaryoyam uchyate.
Tasmadevam viditvainam.
Tasmadevam viditvainam.
Nanusochitum arhasi.
Nanusochitam arhasi.
Ladies,
Avyaktoyam achintyoyam. Avikaryoyam uchyate. Tasmadevam viditvainam. Nanusochitum arhasi. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam. Avikaryoyam uchyate. Tasmadevam viditvainam. Nanusochitum arhasi.
I will skip the word for word as we have a shorter class today and go to translation. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. So Krishna is speaking here to Arjuna. We know that we're in chapter 2. In chapter 1, it was all the setup of the Battle of Kurukshetra. We know that both armies have been set up, and Dhritarashtra was really concerned when he has seen the phalanx Pandavas had built. So he spoke to his generals and tried to encourage them. And then they blew the conch shell, but when Krishna and the Pandavas blew the conch shell with all their devotees, they really have been shattered in the heart. And then, of course, Arjuna was asking Krishna to bring his chariot to the front of the Kuru army, and when he has seen all his uncles, gurus, grandfather Bhishma and all his friends and practically brothers, he was so disturbed that his mind was completely taken over, we can say, by Yogamaya, of course, by Krishna's plan, and it ended up that he was quivering, and he lost his bow, and he was just sitting down and sweating, and he said to Krishna, I don't know what to do anymore, you know, how can we go for this, you know, how can we kill our brothers, uncles, family members, whatever. That will not be good for us. It's maybe better if I just withdraw from the battle, because what will be the happiness if we win this battle, but we have killed all these different friends, uncles, and devotees, you know. And Krishna, of course, said to him, what happened, you know, why are you so in trouble? How can this be? You're a man of knowledge. And Arjuna finally surrendered and said, I don't know what to do, I'm your disciple, please instruct me. And from then on, Krishna tried to explain him different topics why he should have a complete other perspective on his duty, on the battle which is in front of them. And this is one of the, actually the slokas where Krishna sets up that we are the soul and not the body. So I'll read the translation again. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As described previously, the magnitude of the soul is so small for our material calculation that he cannot be seen by the most powerful microscope. Therefore, he is invisible. So that's the first attribute Krishna has given. It's invisible because it's so small, and we can see how Krishna's creation is so perfect. Of course, he let Lord Brahma to do the service, but Krishna's creation is so perfect that an elephant, of course, could have a soul which is much bigger. Even we as human beings could have a soul which is much bigger, but we have these tiny, tiny little living entities, and the soul has to be so small that actually the soul still fits into this bacteria and ants and mosquitoes and whatever we think about. As we have heard, and we heard here in the Bhagavad Gita, it's 1/10,000th of the tip of a hair, so it's made in such a way that it can fit everywhere, and therefore, as Srila Prabhupada says, even the most powerful microscope cannot see it, so the soul is invisible. As far as the soul's existence is concerned, no one can establish his existence experimentally beyond the proof of Shruti or Vedic wisdom. We have to accept these truths because there is no other source of understanding the existence of the soul, although it is a fact by perception. There are many things we have to accept solely on grounds of superior authority. No one can deny the existence of his father based upon the authority of his mother. There is no source of understanding the identity of the father except by the authority of the mother. Similarly, there is no source of understanding the soul except by studying the Vedas. So Srila Prabhupada is setting up here, of course, the topic that the soul is so small and we cannot do some experiments in science and whatever, that we can take out the soul and see how the body reacts, or within the soul, or a second soul, or whatever the scientists would come up with to actually prove this. Srila Prabhupada sets up that we can only, by Vedic wisdom, by studying the Vedas, we can come to the conclusion that that's true, and we are actually basing our knowledge on that. In other words, the soul is inconceivable by human experimental knowledge. The soul is consciousness and conscious. That also is the statement of the Vedas, and we have to accept that. Unlike the bodily changes, there is no change in the soul. As eternally unchangeable, the soul remains atomic in comparison to the infinite Supreme Soul. So Srila Prabhupada says here, Krishna is infinite. Yeah? He is the biggest of the biggest, the smallest of the smallest. All his attributes Krishna has. But the soul is so small that we cannot really see it. It's infinitesimal in the next sentence. And at the same time, the soul never existed. It's unchangeable. The Supreme Soul is infinite, and the atomic soul is infinitesimal. Therefore, the infinitesimal soul, being unchangeable, can never become equal to the infinite soul or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This concept is repeated in the Vedas in different ways, just to confirm the stability of the conception of the soul. Repetition of something is necessary in order that we understand the matter thoroughly without error. So the translation again, it is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. So Krishna gives us in these different slokas, of course, our basic information. We are the soul and not the body. And it was for me such an incredible truth and knowledge that it completely changed my life. I was a Roman Catholic before, and in Christianity they always told us, we are the body and we have a soul. But they had a number of basic questions they could never answer. And therefore, I was maybe from 28 to about 50 years in my age on a kind of search to really find answer to these questions, Unfortunately, I had not the karma to find it much before, so I'm still very much a newcomer, a neophyte. But when I got this information from Gita, it would really changed my life, and I could understand so many things. As we all know, we can understand when we get the soul, and with all the other information we get in the Gita, that the soul is not changing, it existed forever, it's part and parcel of Krishna, and as we are changing clothes in the morning, the soul changes the body, so we could understand, okay, it's not only one lifetime, the Christians, most of them still deny it, and in addition, why is somebody rich and beautiful and the other one is unfortunately crippled and poor? Because we can understand. We went to different lifetimes. We have done different things which are not so favorable for us, and therefore in this lifetime we got actually our reactions in a positive or in a challenging way. So I think that's an important essence and the foundation for our spiritual life. And we heard this morning in the lecture from Kavalia Prabhu that on one hand it's important to know that we have this package from our last lives, positive or negative, at the same time not to forget what is the goal of life and to take a chance in this life that actually at the end of life, with this knowledge we receive from Srila Prabhupada through all these books, we can actually achieve our goal to go back to the Godhead. I was a little bit meditating on the whole Bhagavad Gita based on being Gita Jayanti yesterday, and I was thinking, how is this set up that Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Normally you would say, how would somebody do something like this, give this knowledge just in front of this big battle? But thinking about Krishna on this planet, if you think about who could have he done it at Vrindavan, we know when Uddhava was sent as a messenger to the gopis in Vrindavan, and the message was filled with philosophy and different thoughts about life and philosophical foundation. The gopis felt so disturbed. They said, what is he speaking about? Where is he coming from, Our only goal is to please Krishna. They don't need any foundation of in philosophy or any other instructions, because they are pure devotees and their only goal is to serve Krishna. Because if you look at that, for sure, to speak Bhagavad Gita in Vrindavan would not be a solution, because the gopis would for sure first not need it, and second one just not appreciate, because they don't need philosophy as from their heart. They have only, as I said before, one goal, to please Krishna. It's only Krishna's happiness which counts, nothing for themselves. We know that they run away in the middle of cooking, and they let their actually pot on the stove, and they go and follow Krishna's flute, and whatever the whole day, when Krishna is actually with their maybe their boys on the pasture to actually take care of the calves at the beginning of Krishna's lifetime, later on the cows. They only think about him, and they miss him so much, you know. So then the question is, okay, could Krishna have spoken Bhagavad Gita in Mathura? But there he was more the Kshatriya, you know. And as a Kshatriya, would people even buy it if he would come up and display all this philosophy? Because normally a Brahmana would do that. So I also think that would not fit at all. And the same we could say for Dwaraka, where he was in the same position. He was in a Kshatriya position, the king, and we all know that he had 16,108 wives. He was a grihastha, and he would go every day to the courthouse and meet with the ministers and the seniors and whatever. So also we cannot imagine that Krishna would actually speak the Bhagavad Gita. But if you think about all the battlefield of Kurukshetra, just in front of this big battle, is actually such a perfect place. And of course, as Mahabharata speaks about, you know, the Kurus and the Pandavas and all what happened, the different adventures, it was clear that Bhagavad Gita was in this case recorded, and as a package in Mahabharata, it would go for, of course, eternity, and continue to be the message of Krishna. He spoke himself to us, you know. So I think it's just inconceivable, the Lord who made these arrangements to speak actually Bhagavad Gita in the middle of this battlefield, you know. And I'm just coming back from India. I was at the Govardhan retreat. Madhavananda Prabhu, I don't know if you know him, he's a Krishna Maharaj disciple. He lives in Bhubaneswar in India. And he was speaking a very special lila of Krishna I never heard before. He said Krishna went to see Ramanujacharya. And he said to Ramanujacharya, you know, you are such an incredible devotee. You made so many disciples. I cannot get it how you made so many serious disciples. You know, I could only make one disciple myself. And you know, I had so much trouble to make him a disciple. And through the whole time I spent with him, he was always doubting. It was so difficult to convince him. And finally, at the end, he took the right decision. But I value so much your contribution that you made so many disciples. So I found it such a wonderful lila of Krishna that he puts himself, as you know, as usual, as the servant of the servant. He likes to serve the devotees, and he was actually amplifying the glories of Ramanujacharya, you know. So we, if we see as you know, the advent of Bhagavad Gita, see a little bit look forward. It's clear that Srila Prabhupada emphasizes in his Bhagavad Gita practically everywhere. Pure devotional service is actually our goal, you know. And Srila Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita 11:55 that that's the essence of Bhagavad Gita. We have, of course, different discussions about which kind of sloka is the essence, but I would like to read this sloka for you. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. So Krishna is emphasizing here again different things. First of all, he says, he who engages in my pure devotional service. So we know that our goal of life is pure devotional service. I'm not there, many of us may be not there, but that does not mean we should give up. And just to speak about devotional service, to think about devotional service, purifies us further and helps us to approach this goal. And we all know that Srila Prabhupada said, okay, finally, if you're 70% Krishna conscious, I know that the back door to Goloka Vrindavan, I will help you. So there is really hope for us, you know. On one hand, we try our best every day to reach our goal, and at the same time, we know that Krishna is very compassionate, and he and through his pure servant Srila Prabhupada, he will help us, you know. It was another quote I would like to say from this Govardhan retreat, another devotee who made the representation. He said, you know, Krishna is so merciful. He never sees when we do something which is maybe not in line with the Shastra, not in line with our character we would like to have, not in line with the values Krishna consciousness is actually setting up. But he is so grateful for every little service. Every little service he sees us, he said, how can I ever repay this devotee? He did just this for me, you know. And I think that's another very hopeful statement for us, you know. Krishna is so grateful for whatever we do. You know, we chant a little japa, we do garlands, we come and serve on the altar, we give some donation, we distribute some books, we speak to others about Krishna consciousness, we invite somebody to temple. Krishna is just seeing everything, you know. And of course, it's inconceivable for us that for these billions and billions and billions of people in all these universes, we know that there are millions of universes, he never forgets it. But Krishna is inconceivable for us. But for us, it's important to know that he is really appreciating what we are doing for him, you know. So first of all, he says, my pure devotional service, you know. Then he says, free from contamination of fruitive activities. So we do not something for ourselves, you know, and mental speculation. So he goes again, the karmis and the jnanis. The one who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. So if I quote another part of this Govardhan retreat, important was there that when we see this kind of slokas, we do everyday service, but we many times, of course, are in the first phase of our service where we do out of duty. And we all would like to come to the second part when we do out of love and out of attraction to Krishna. So the proposal was there in 2 different seminar lectures. They say, okay, start to do something for Krishna. Before you start anything, cooking, doing the beds in the morning, taking a shower, going for work, bringing your kids to the school, whatever you do, before you start something, just say, Krishna, I do this for you. And the presenter said, if you say that, actually, Krishna will help you. You will find out that different arrangements are done, that everything is so much easier, and it's in another mood. And 2 days later, another presenter came up with the same topic, and he said, you know, just say it, you do it for Krishna. And you will find out, after some time, you will smile. Because just to have this intention to do it for Krishna, and actually to say it, and go with this intention into some little service, it will give you a complete other level of consciousness. And it makes you actually smile, you know. And he made some tests with us and said, see you? Did you look around? Everybody is now smiling because you were actually doing it, you know. So this would be my little advice for you when you go home, maybe today or tomorrow. If you can try to think about it. Before you start the service, you just say, okay, I do this for Krishna. And you see how Krishna is actually taking it up and helping you. And this is a strong way to come from our duty-bound devotional service to actually to the Raganuga Bhakti, where we do it out of love for Krishna. So my time is up. I have been requested to finish at 5:10. It was a very much a pleasure for me to be here today and share these little thoughts with all of you. I hope you will try tomorrow, or not tonight, to apply this, that you stay before you start to do this for Krishna. And I would just like to congratulate our new initiated devotee, we actually, Muliranga Prabhu, we actually welcome him as our official family member. Of course, he was a friend of Krishna for 19 years, I heard, when I have seen your initiation on Facebook Live. And I try to remember your name properly, Mukha Sangha. Yes. Mukha Sangha Prabhu. So I ask you, all of you, give him a big applause and give him the blessing for his spiritual life. It's always a pleasure for us if we see that Srila Prabhupada's family is growing. Somebody is taking spiritual life one step forward from being a friend and a strong supporter and servant, as you have been for so many years in Krishna consciousness, that you are now an initiated disciple. So it's a big pleasure. Thank you for taking this step. Hare Krishna.
You have a garden? Okay. Bring it forward.
Mukha Sangha Prabhu ki jai.
We have a gift also for him. On behalf of ISKCON Philadelphia, we're very happy that you made this. Very happy you made this step in your spiritual life. You've done so much service here at ISKCON Philadelphia, and it's just a wonderful feeling knowing that you've confirmed your vows with your spiritual master, and we're looking forward to so much more service, that you can do now. Mukta Sangha Prabhu ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. So I would like to thank His Grace, Jai Krishna Prabhu. He just came in just last week from India. He was in India for some time, and he came right here to Philadelphia. So he's, as Ramcharan Prabhu mentioned, he's the regional secretary. So he serves ISKCON, the greater ISKCON, to oversee different temples. He oversees 5 different temples right now. 10 temples, okay. 10 temples, which is a lot. He's not the president of those temples, but the way it works is that there's oversight, there's compliance, as ISKCON galvanizes and organizes, all to spread Srila Prabhupada's movement. The leadership that him and other GBC members provides is really essential. It means a lot that you came to Philadelphia right away. He also serves currently as the treasurer of ISKCON Philadelphia, and works very close with the finance team. We hope, I know you're going away, again soon, but we hope to have you back, very shortly. He'll go also the rest of tonight. So if any devotees would like to meet with him, please approach Jai Krishna Prabhu. So we stopped a little bit early tonight because we had quite a few announcements, and we didn't want to run into the next arti. So we wanted to, do everything. Today's a special day for us here in ISKCON Philadelphia. Anybody know what happened on December 8th? A year ago. 9th, sorry. It was 9th? That's it? Okay, December 9th. A year ago.
Inauguration. DD movie.
So, some people say 8th. I thought it was the 8th also. So anybody, shout it out if you know it.
Inauguration.
So the inauguration of the temple room, when Shri Shri Radha Bihari, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, and Shri Shri Gaur Nitai, they moved from the old temple building into their new home. So that was a very exciting time for us. I don't know if you remember the procession that we had when the deities came off the altar, and it was all the preparations that went into it. Years and years of planning, construction, all the love that poured into this building, the generous donations that were given by so many. It all kind of culminated a year ago today. So today's a day for celebration. Really at this time I wanted to recognize both Shyam Prabhu and myself and appreciate in particular His Grace Jagannath Chandra Prabhu. He was the project manager behind this. It's very easy to sit back and say things should be this way, things should be that way, things should be this way, you should cut costs, you should spend more, so many different things people think and can say, but when you actually have the hat, you really have to drive a project. And it's not easy to do. It's really not. And to do something like build a new building, especially a building for the Supreme Lord, so many factors that need to go into it. And he remained diligent, he was committed, he worked with his team, and he got the job done. So we're here today in the presence of their lordships in this temple room, a lot of it by his efforts. We wanted to bring him forward and offer our heartfelt appreciation for him. So please help me, show appreciation. There's a few people that he wanted to say a few things, and there's a couple people he wanted to acknowledge as well.
Hare Krishna. So in 2015, if anyone told me we would be sitting in this kind of a room, seeing the deities, I would not have believed. Would you have believed? All-timers?
No.
When we conceived, there was. So let's go back in time, shall we? So, this has to download. There used to be a breezeway, they called it. Anyone remember the breezeway?
In the winter we called it the freezeway.
Freezeway, because it had no heat. At the same time, when you come in, we had a display of what? When you come in the breezeway, what did we see? Shoes. Right? And it smelled good, right? So that was our entryway into the Lord's abode. And if you went into the temple building and looked in our current prasadam room, you would have seen, I don't know how this many people be accommodated in that room. And in winter, was it comfortable? And in summer, how was it? In August, July. And imagine the deities are always there. They were always there. So this is very special place, which if you go back in history, we can see that. Let me see if I can make this bigger. See, this used to be a Krisham Arms Hotel. So that is what this building was. Before that, it used to be like a hunting lodge, where this building, what we call Grihastha building, the building on our right, it used to be like they used to hunt whatever they used to hunt and put it in the basement. Deer, hogs, I don't know what else. The rabbits. Yeah. So that hunting lodge, I guess this is how it looked. Can you see? Just if you go to the basement in the Grihastha building, they still have coal there. So I suppose at some point there were slaves putting coal into a furnace, right? I guess that's how they were heating it. This then it became into a glorified era, and you can see that this was a Krisham Arms Hotel, which looked very magnificent before the days of chains like Hilton, Marriott, and all that. This is how the people used to come and stay. And these are some historic pictures. Then comes to our breezeway, our time, where we had the fantastic display of spiritual shoes, right, to welcome visitors. And then it looked really dilapidated. So there was a lot of attempts to fix this for many decades actually. And two board members, His Grace Kaivalya Prabhu and His Grace Vishnugada Prabhu, came to me separately on two different occasions and asked, can you manage this project? Why don't we build our temple? Then what happened is the TOB people came here and they were doing heavy fundraising. And I think it is our Vrindavaneshwari Mataji who came up and said, I donate a huge amount. That's when it occurred to us that if we want to build a temple, we are sitting, people are willing to give big amounts and we are not doing it for the lordships. So that's how we started fundraising in 2015, and lot of obstacles, unbelievable, incredible obstacles came our way. We had to, city of Philadelphia is known one of the worst places in the whole country to get permits within the actual city, within the city. So we are in the city, so we had to navigate that. And I always thought the construction team, including Kaivalya Prabhu, Vishnugada Prabhu, Babish and myself, we did the work, but it's not us who did anything. Can you guess who did it? Dada Sharad Bihari. He did so the most amazing thing he did is to manifest in the form of Babish. And so that was an incredible boon to make this project forward. Our fundraising, initial fundraising was very successful beyond our wildest dreams. And we have to thank TOVP for kicking our behind to make it happen, as I said. And then 2016, Janmashtami is when we broke ground. And we started the project. And we were finished by 2018. Then 2018, June or so, the actual construction was finished. Then someone came up with this brilliant idea, these altars are no good, you have to order new altars. Why? Because they are old. So then there was a lot of back and forth. Every step, pade, vivade, like the material life, every step there is danger. So if you want to do something for the Lordship, this was a manifestation of how that danger gets magnified millions of times. Every step, there is someone who wants to control it. Especially when we had the structure up and things were going, the people who opposed the building, that was easy to handle. The people who were friendly, trying to help you, that was the most difficult people to and situations to handle. So one thing I learned from myself from this experience is, like winter comes, summer comes, demoniac people will come, godly people will come. What makes one go is we have to have the winter jacket of our sadhana. So personally I learned a lesson. If I go nuts along with the rest of the people around me, it affects my spiritual life, personal life, marriage life, every relationship I have, and I'm helpless. When I think it's me doing it. when the Lord, if you let the Lord take over, Krishna, I am totally helpless. I don't know what to do now. So you please do whatever you want to do. When we come to that stage, that's when amazing things happen out of the blue. Devotee comes from Sweden to do carpentry work. Somebody manifests out, saying, somebody who was so inimical comes and says, Prabhu, I know something. And you're like, how did this happen? And the vice versa happened also. Somebody who is supposed to be our pillar of support becomes very demoniac overnight and tries to stop you every which way you turn. So that happened to, so this was a test of every inch of determination. This is the hardest thing I have done in my life. This is the most gratifying thing also, that I have the 4 years of life dedicated to this, taught me something that many decades have been taught me. So I have to thank a lot of people, especially my family, especially my wife, who suffered through all this, for supporting and staying with it. There were tensions where our marriage was in question. There were days on that, to that extent. And there were many friends and relationships that were straining to the brim. So, Kaivalya Prabhu, Nidhi Mataji, Ram Charan, and before 2017, Vishnugata Prabhu, and even the GBC and all were many times very helpful. And there were, as I said, demoniac forces came from the woodwork. Then I read Prabhupada's purport. Envious people are like serpents. Snakes we can control by herbs and by mantra. Envious people, there's nothing you can do. Just pray. So, but the question always was, am I doing something illegal? Am I doing something immoral? Is this beneficial for Krishna and our goal of a new building? So, so we were able to finish this building. When we showed it to contractors, they said $3.5 to $4 million were the quotes we get. So we avoided any general contractors. Babish and myself, we did it on our own, dealing with the subcontractors. And we were able to finish it for $1.3 million. And I think it's well worth it if you look at what we have compared to how much you pay for a new home or building. And we have very energy efficient systems. We have so many things. But the most important, I don't have much time. Drona Prabhu doesn't want me to speak too much, right? so I will have to show you some example of a something very quick. Why this is being so gratifying? I can get the audio. Apparently no.
Increase your volume.
Oh God. Let's see. I have to find audio. No. Huh? I have several bad text messages.
Increase your full volume.
I got it. Let's see. Oh, audio is off. Oh, that makes a difference. What happened? Oh, that system is off?
It goes through the TV audio right now.
That system is off?
No, it's on.
It's
I
on?
think the TV
Can
audio
you turn up the volume, please? Okay.
I think this because it goes to the TV audio. I don't think we'll be able to.
No, TV audio. It goes through the. If the system is on, we can do this. I've done it many times. So we have a $25,000 audio system. Believe it or not, right?
You try it now?
You got it?
Let me see.
What?
No?
No, wait. I thought I had it all down pat. Okay, let's see.
I am very happy today because this new temple is have one temple, one very auspicious point is there, very nice thing. I am very happy for that because when we giving the darshan aratis, Surya Narayan means sun god direct coming to Sharad Bihari's lotus feet.
Prabhu.
It is very auspicious thing because rare case is Surya Narayan and sunlight coming to deities. I am very happy Prabhuji, very happy. When we giving darshan arati, 80 this sunlight direct coming to Orchard.
Okay, so what he's talking is, see that window there? I had to fight to get that one window there. Because of the curvature, we could not put a window, people said, but somehow, anyway, fought for that window, and when we moved the deities on December 8th, the next day, this is what happened. You see that? And that happens at 8:30 when the curtains open for the Arati. Right? I don't know if it is, you can see it, if the sun is not shining you won't see it, but this happened on last year. See that?
Just goes to show how perfect Mother Nature is, because right now, if you come in the morning at this time, probably for the next 2 weeks,
You will see that.
It's coming in.
But this was about a month ago, it was here on Gaudinitya from the sun, the angle. So this is why this became so gratifying, and you can. There's a small clip. Is it playing? So you can see the sunlight coming from that back window. And this, why we couldn't do inauguration before in June? Radha Sharad Bihari wanted it this way. We had so many obstacles to so this date, people think we picked. Many people think they controlled and they picked. No, he picked. And at least to me, all the trials and tribulations made it worth it. Because that means Srila Prabhupada and Lordships and Vaishnavas have accepted our temple. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
I'll bring this down.
Hari Bol.
Thank you again, Jagannath Chandra Prabhu. And also, if you were to have that darshan, where Surya Dev comes and shines his light on Shishivada Sharpihari, probably for the next 2 weeks, you can be able to see that. We agreed to do these a little bit earlier now at 7:30. But still, that same darshan is there. Do we have? You're going to make Gita Jayanti? Okay, so we have one announcement regarding the Gita Jayanti. Yesterday we did the full reading of the Bhagavad Gita, chapters 1 through 18. It was very exhilarating, very, very inspiring for the devotees that came here. In addition to that, this is also December. It's book distribution month, so we have a Bhagavad Gita drive. Shamkumar Prabhu is going to speak about.
Hare Krishna, I'll try to make it quick. We are running late. So, how many of you have read Bhagavad Gita? Please raise your hand. Okay, so the rest probably should buy a Bhagavad Gita and start reading. So, how many of you that have read Bhagavad Gita have found it useful in your own life? Please raise your hand. Okay, so if you found it useful, the best thing to do is to give it to others. That will make it useful for them also. So either way, I think it's the best time of the year. This is, as Dharana Prabhu mentioned, yesterday was Gita Jayanti, when Lord Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita. And this, the entire purports that Srila Prabhupada has given us in Bhagavad Gita, they actually have the potency to change somebody's life. And it's something that if you want to give it as a gift, and especially because this is the holiday season, you can give it as a gift to your colleagues, your friends, your relatives. So for this special occasion, as with every temple, which is a tradition in ISKCON, we have special prizes for Gita Jayanti for the Bhagavad Gita. So usually we give out these not just as books, but as sets. So each box of Bhagavad Gita, you can either get it for yourself and then give it to your friends, relatives as wonderful gifts, or you could sponsor them and we can go out and then distribute them in motels, colleges, even veteran centers. That's a new addition this year. And many of these people who have received these books as gifts have wonderful experiences with these, with this amazing book. So we have two ways you can either buy or sponsor. One is either you want a hard bond or soft bond. Hard bond is a case with 24 books. It's $108 donation. And a soft bond is a case of 16 books.
No, that way around.
Oh, it's the other way. Soft bond is 24 books and it's $108, and hard bond is 16 books with for $108 as a donation. So we have a table set up outside. Please come after this, and somebody will be there to help you. Hare Krishna.
Hard book, soft book.
Thank you, Shyam Prabhu. I want to now recognize our Sunday Feast sponsors this week. We have several of them, so we're going to do a lot of chanting. The first one, actually the first two I want to bring up, part of the same family. It's a double sponsorship. We have, for the mother of Saurabhya Prabhu, her name is Haima Tarishetty. We have a sponsorship by Ashok Prabhu. Is Ashok here? And then I also want to bring up her daughter, Bhajna. Is Bhajna here? Please come up. So we have, today is Bhajna's, or this is being sponsored for her 9th birthday. Is today your birthday? Last week. Okay, it's okay. So we're going to come together. So we have a garland, and we have some Mahaprasadam. Happy birthday. So we want to bless Bhajna for health, happiness, and remembrances of Krishna. throughout the year. And we want to pray for Haima Tarisheti. So please join me in raising your hands and chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Okay, the next, we have 2 anniversaries we're celebrating today. So it's always exciting, wedding anniversaries. The first is Brajesh Govinda Prabhu and Mukhadatri Mataji on their anniversary. Are they here? They're not here? I know they're here today. I don't know if I know they help cook the feast today, so maybe they're helping. What's that? They're in the kitchen.
I'll go get them. You can do the next one.
Okay, so the next one, we have Manish and Saraswati Mataji. So, just saw you. There. And you also helped today with the feast, correct? Very nice. Great devotional service. So, let's come up. Manish? We have to do this together. Anniversaries have to be together.
No idea.
No, it is.
I'll find him.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right, give it a second, then you guys will come. It's good to have both of you up here. It's the anniversary. So we'll go on to the next announcements. Today we want to show our gratitude to the cooking team today. Our anniversary couples, they cooked today the Sunday feast, and the team is headed by Sukada Prabhu and Mother Subhadra. So let's thank them for the service. I want to say something really nice about Sukada Prabhu and Mother Subhadra, because this morning, and actually every Sunday morning, they come to the temple about 5:30 in the morning, and they dress Shishi Radha Bihari. And Shishi Radha Bihari always looks very beautiful, but on Sunday, there's like an extra special touch. And they come every Sunday early in the morning, before dawn, and dress the deities. And then today they went home, got a few hours rest, and then they came back again and they cooked the Sunday feast. So when you see them, offer their appreciation. They serve as a great role model for devotees that just come and they give service. So I'd like to recognize them for that. Okay, so Manish and Saraswati, please come forward. It's your anniversary. How many years? 10. 10, okay. All right, 10's a good milestone. Congratulations. So we have a garland. We're running a little short on garland, so we're going to have a garland you guys can share. And we want to bless you guys for a lifelong of happiness and service to Krishna. May you continue to grow and share a wonderful life together. So I want to ask you all to help join me, offering our prayers and blessings to this wonderful couple, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, thank you very much. And then our other anniversary couple, we have Brajesh Govinda Prabhu and Mukhadatri Mataji. Please come forward. They also help cook the Sunday feast today. Wonderful example, spending their anniversary day. Hare Krishna for the Lord, serving the devotees. Hare Krishna. How many years have you guys been married? 16 years. Wow. Congratulations. Congratulations. You have a beautiful family, and we pray that you guys continue a lifelong service together with joy and happiness. So please help me in offering our prayers. Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay, so upcoming this week, we have program Tuesday evening, Bhagavatam stories, starting at 7 o'clock, 7 to 8 o'clock. So please come out if you can for Tuesday evening. Wednesday evening, we have our Kirtan night, 6:30 to 8 o'clock. And then we do our Srila Prabhupada Leela night on Thursday, again 6:30 to 8 o'clock. All these programs afterwards, there'll be prasadam. It's a great time to come together with devotees throughout the week. Please try to make one of these nights and associate with the devotees. Coming up next Sunday, we'll be observing the disappearance day of His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. This program will be observed at noon. We're going to start at 10:30 with some bhajans, and we'll be reading from his biography, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta by Baba. So please come out and observe the spiritual master of our beloved Srila Prabhupada. We will also have the Sunday feast in addition to that at the evening. So we'll have two programs next Sunday, one at noon and then one our typical Sunday feast. So before we break for prasadam, a quick announcement. About a month ago, we had some heat problems, and we said that devotees, because the heater went off on Sunday, we said we could all eat in here where it was warm. But that was really just for the one day. We didn't want to have that as a continuation. It gets congested. Really, the lobby is a really nice place. People spill. Naturally when you eat, something's going to spill. We want to keep this area clean. That was really just for one day. So please refrain from eating your prasadam here in the lobby area. The old temple room, and then the second floor hallway also is open and available. At 6:30, we'll come back for japa. We have a japa session, so please, after your prasadam, please come for that. And 6:45, we have arti. Now, we missed last week, but that was our first week of missing. But sometimes you miss and you fall off, but then you get right back on. So our prasadam prayers led by the Sunday school. We want to invite them up. These prayers are important. When we have prasadam, we should realize that this is not different than Krishna. This is Krishna's mercy in one of the most relishable forms. So we want to honor that. And there's a prayer that was sung by one of our acharyas, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that glorifies this merciful form of Krishna.
So maybe we can read the translation.
Okay, for those with little eyes covered, faith in Mahaprasad, Sri Govinda, the holy name, and the Vaishnavas never arises. O Lord, this material body is a place of ignorance, and the senses are a network of paths leading to death. Somehow we have fallen into this ocean of material sense, enjoyment, and of all the senses, the tongue is the most voracious and uncontrollable. It is very difficult to conquer the tongue in this world, but you, dear Krishna, are very kind to us and have given us such nice prasadam, just to control the tongue. Now we take this prasadam to our full satisfaction and glorify you, Sri Radha and Krishna, and above all for the help of Lord Chaitanya and the Devata.
Mahaprasade Govinde,
Mahaprasade Govinde,
Jai. Okay, Kishan will be served in the old temple room. Hare Krishna.
Papa, shall I pause it?